Hello everyone, welcome back for video number 2. And yes, as I promised, Frank Abagnale is today's uh the video we'll be talking about today. It's just there's so much about him. There will be a two-parter video, so this will be part 1 of 2. The jolly old man who pretty much, I guess you could say, made people more aware of, I guess, these crimes: theft, forgery, fraud, check fraud, the biggest one here, and auto larceny. But the biggest one, fraud. But yes, today we will be talking about Frank Abagnale in this terrible looking cabin that's not mine. I don't know where I am. I'm lost. But I will find my way away from here eventually, but it will take time. But for now, today we learn about Frank Abagnale, but we need to find a tree in the rain. Woo! Yeah, this tree will help. Yes. Frank William Abagnale Jr. was born in the Bronx in New York City on April the 27th, 1948, to a French Algerian mother and an Italian-American father. He spent his early life in Bronxville, New York. What a nice name for a town. His parents separated when he was 12 years old and divorced when he was 15 years old. After the divorce, Abagnale moved with his father and his stepmother to Mount Vernon, New York. According to Abagnale, his first victim was his father, who gave him a gasoline credit card and a truck, and was ultimately liable for a bill amounting to $3,400. Abagnale was only 15 at the time. In his autobiography, Abagnale says because of his crime he was sent to a reform school in Westchester County, New York, fitting the description of the Lincolndale Agricultural School, run by Catholic Charities. In December 1964, he enlisted in the United States Navy at the age of 16. He was discharged. Yep, my mouth is getting dry, like the Saharan desert. He was discharged after less than 3 months and was arrested for forgery shortly thereafter. Wow. In 1964, the Federal Bureau of Investigation arrested Abagnale in Eureka, California for car theft after he stole a Ford Mustang from one of his father's neighbors. Abagnale was pictured in the local newspaper, seated in a car, being questioned by Special Agent Richard Miller of the FBI. He had financed his cross-country trip from New York to California with blank checks stolen from a family business located on the Bronx River Parkway. Abagnale was also charged with impersonating a U.S. Customs official, although this charge was subsequently dropped on June 2, 1965. This stolen car case, it's case, not chase. Jesus. I'm having a lovely day mixing up words, but oh well, I'll be perfectly fine. And was transferred to the Southern District of New York. The airline pilot. After being released into the custody of his father to face the stolen car charges, 17-year-old Abagnale decided to impersonate a pilot. He obtained a uniform at a Manhattan uniform company. However, he was arrested at Tuckahoe, New York days later. Abagnale was sentenced to 3 years at the Great Meadow Prison in Comstock, New York. After serving only 2 years of his sentence, he was released into the custody of his mother. However, he broke the terms of his parole with a stolen car conviction in Boston, Massachusetts, and was returned to Great Meadow for 1 year. After his release on December the 24th, 1968, 20-year-old Abagnale disguised himself as a TWA pilot and moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he talked his way into the house of a local music teacher whose daughter was a Delta Airlines stewardess he met in New York and Baton Rouge. Abagnale also befriended a local minister, claimed he had a master's degree in social work from the Ithaca College, and sought work with vulnerable youth with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The Reverend introduced him to Louisiana State University faculty, who determined he was an obvious phony. The Reverend, after Abagnale told him he was a furloughed TWA pilot, became suspicious and called the airline, where he was told that Abagnale was a fraud. The Reverend notified the Baton Rouge Police Department, and Abagnale was arrested on February 14, 1968, initially on vagrancy charges. Upon his arrest, he was found to have illegally driven his Florida rental car out of state to possess and falsified airline employee identification. The following day, detectives determined that Abagnale had stolen blank checks from his host family and a local business in Baton Rouge, and he was subsequently charged with the theft and forgery. Unable to make bail, he was convicted on June 2, 1969, and was sentenced to 12 years of supervised probation, but he soon fled Louisiana for Europe. You know what, I might not do a two-parter. What the heck? 2 weeks after the Louisiana bench warrant was issued, Abagnale was arrested in Montpellier, France, in September 1969. He had stolen an automobile and defrauded 2 local families in Klippan, Sweden. He was sentenced to 4 months for theft in France. However, he only served 3 months in Perpignan's prison. He was then extradited to Sweden, where he was convicted of gross fraud by forgery. He served 2 months in a Malmo prison and was banned from returning to Sweden for 8 years and required to recompense his Swedish victims, which they say he never did. Abagnale was then deported back to the United States in 1970 when his appeal failed. After returning to the United States, 22-year-old Abagnale dressed in a pilot's uniform and traveled around college campuses, passing bad checks and claiming he was there to recruit stewardesses for Pan Am at the University of Arizona. He stated that he was a pilot and a doctor, and according to Paul Holzen, a student at the time. Abagnale conducted physical examinations on several female college students who wanted to be a part of flight crews. None of the women were ever enrolled in Abagnale's fictional program, as his autobiography and film depict. Because I guess they had better things to do instead of being on an airplane, being asked stupid questions, which is my guess. God, I can't imagine being a airplane steward, being asked dumb questions, seeing the dumb crap from people on an airplane. It would make you want to quit, even though you get good pay from what I hear, which I highly doubt that. After Abagnale cashed a personal check made to look like a Pan Am paycheck on July 30th, 1970 in Durham, North Carolina, he he again came to the attention of the FBI. He was arrested in Cobb County, Georgia. Hey, Cobb County, eh? That's where the big boss man is from. Ooh, someone would have been beaten with a billy club. Alright, and a lot. And was picked up 4 days later in New York City. In New York City. The coolest city of all time. He was sentenced to 10 years in 1971 for forging checks that totaled to $1,448.60. Is that a million? I don't know, but he received an additional 2 years for escaping from the local Cobb County jailhouse. I assume that's $1 million, but I don't know. But it's a lot of money. In 1974, Abagnale was released on parole after he had served around 2 years of his 12-year sentence at a federal correctional institution in Petersburg, Virginia. Unwilling to return to his family in New York, Abagnale says he left the choice of parole location up to the court, which decided that he would be paroled in Houston, Texas. Ooh. After his release, Abagnale stated that he performed numerous jobs including cook, grocer, and movie projectionist. However, he was fired from most of those who had discovered he had been hired without revealing his criminal past. He again posed as a pilot in 1974 to obtain a job at Camp Mansian, a summer children's camp in Texas, where he was arrested for stealing cameras from his co-workers. After he received only a fine, he obtained a position at a Houston area orphanage by pretending to be a pilot with a master's degree. This job had him finding foster homes for the children living at the orphanage. This ruse was eventually discovered by his parole officer, who swiftly removed him from his orphanage work and moved him into the living quarters above his own garage, so that he could keep an eye on him. His next position was at Atina, where he was fired and sued for check fraud. Wow. So I'll stop right there. And, yeah, we'll just stop right there. Because, there's a lot here to unfold and talk about, but there will be a part 2 next Monday. And as one YouTuber put it, we'll be doing this again very soon again, my friends. And, yeah, there will be a part 2. Because I'm actually having fun doing this. And I like the movie Catch Me If You Can, even if Leonardo DiCaprio is considered corny by some people. He was in the Titanic movie. could this be? Land and hose! Where's my cabin? It's gotta be here somewhere. I must find it. Am I in the jungle now? Oh well. I will find it eventually. Wait. Wait. Well, I'll shelter under this tree for now, but goodbye, everyone. See you next Monday.